A lot of times when we develop a Django application, then we're gonna need to write similar code time after time. So in order to save your time as a Django developer, then I'm going to teach you about one of the most helpful libraries that is called Django Extensions. So this library comes with a lot of management commands that will help you to automate day-to-day tasks that you perform in the middle of your Django application development. And by the way, if that is your first Django for Everyone video, this is a series of videos where I talk about underrated Django topics. So I believe that each one of those videos that is inside this series will add something new to your Django skills. Let's dive into it. Now, for those that this is their first Django for Everyone video, then let me use a few seconds to explain on what project I'm going to rely on, so it will be easy for you to follow along. So you can see that we have this GitHub project here that I named Django for Everyone. And this is just a basic Django project that I will use to show all the examples that I'm going to show in all those tutorials. So you can see that it has a base app directory here, which includes our Django application. Now you can use a git clone command or basically download it as a zip file and extract it wherever you want. But let me also show you how this project looks like in the terminal here. So I'm going to go and change directory to base app, and I'm going to use a python manage.py run server command. And then I'm going to go here and refresh this page. Now you can see this is the way that the website looks like. So you can see it is a very minimalistic application with some options on the left. So this will be the website that I'm going to show everything. So let's get started. Alright, so in this tutorial I will do a walkthrough how to get started with the Django Extensions library, which is really one of the strongest libraries that I've worked with when developing a Django application. So let's get started. Now I'm going to use this Windows terminal here with two tabs, which one of them will be responsible to execute our application, and I'm just going to change to this tab right now to work with that. So let me show you something very interesting here about the manage.py command. So if we were to use manage.py -- help here to basically show the options, then you can see that we have a list of options that we can execute here, and some of them are quite familiar to us, probably the migrate or make migrations, and as well as start app or start project. Now Django Extensions just adds more options to this python manage.py command, so it will be easier for us to manage our application in the middle of development, or even if we want to perform some actions when our application is published in production. So the first thing that we want to do here, let's clean the screen first, is to install this library Django Extensions. Now for those that are asking why I don't use a virtual env here, it is just because I don't feel right working with virtual environments when I don't have a tutorial yet on that on my channel. But if you want to work with a virtual environment, then definitely go ahead with that. Okay, so I'm going to use here pip install, and I'm going to say Django-extensions. So this will be the way to install that. Now, once this gets installed, then we're gonna need to add several settings to our settings.py file, so our manage.py file could recognize the additional options that this library brings us here. So in PyCharm, I'm going to go to our settings.py file, so it will be base app and settings, and I'm going to scroll down here and I'm going to go to installed apps. Now you can see I have one application created and I have installed it right there. So right here I'm going to install also the Django Extensions library. So like I said, the manage.py then will recognize the additional options. So if we were to say here, let's add a comma after our string so we will not screw up this list here, and we will say Django_extensions like the following. Now pay attention, I used underscore and not dash like the library name. So now if we were to go back to our terminal and again use python manage.py -- help, then you can see that we are going to have some additional options. So you can see that this is now the title of this options in here, and you can see it brings a lot of options that you can go ahead and try by yourself. So I'm going to cover some of those that were pretty much useful for myself when I was developing some Django applications. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to split this terminal by using the combination of Alt, Shift, and D, and I'm going to leave on the left side the list of options here, and we are going to cover some of those. Now you can pay attention, I use another CD command here just to basically work on the project of our Django application. Alright, so I'm going to start with this admin generator option on the left here. So the admin generator is actually a command that will be responsible to generate the code that is necessary to register your modules in the admin panel. So as we know, when we write some modules and we use make migrations and migrate them, usually we need to add some more lines of code in the admin.py file to basically visualize those modules in the administrative panel. So the admin generator is going to be responsible to generate the code automatically for us. And this is a very cool option that I'm going to show how to get started with it. So let's go ahead and go to our main application here, which will be right there, and I'm going to use the models.py file to basically create some modules randomly and migrate them to our database. So say that we are developing a library management system application here. So we might want to create a module like book to basically describe book and its name and its author and stuff like that. So for that purpose, I'm going to delete everything and paste in some modules that will be responsible to basically generate some modules in this application here. So I will have the opportunity to also show how the admin generator works. So you can see that I have author module and as well as tag and as well as book module and as well as a borrow module to simulate a situation that someone borrows a book here. So now that we have those modules, then we can just go ahead and use make migrations and migrate to see them in our database. So I'm going to do that first. I'm going to use here, let me make this a little bit bigger and say python manage.py make migrations, and then I'm going to say python manage.py migrate like that. So you can see that everything is pretty much okay now, and let's go ahead and see how admin generator works. Now generally, if we were to not be familiar with this admin generator, we had to go ahead to our PyCharm and work with this admin.py file here and just write some code that will be responsible to register all those 4 modules, and maybe we want to customize that, because if we want to register the borrow module, for example, in a certain way that I can also create a user along with that, then it will be very hard to do that, and we will need to just write code over and over for each module that we are going to create in the future of this application. So that's why admin generator could be very useful for us. So let's show how this works. It will be as easy as saying something like python manage.py admin generator, and this one receives one argument as the name of our application. So since our application name is main, then I'm going to specify that, and you can see that it generates some code to basically register our modules. So let's go ahead and just copy that and paste this in our admin panel. So I'm going to, and I mean admin.py file. So I'm going to paste those, and now I'm going to go to our application here and see the results. So now let's just leave the home page and go to admin like that. And I'm quickly going to create a super user here just so we can see the results in the administrative panel. So I'm going to clean the screen first, and I'm going to use another manage.py create super user command here. So let's name it admin like that and just give a random email address, and the password will be A capitalized, A lowercase, and then we're gonna say 654321. And I'm going to do the same here and just create that super user. Now I'm going to go to here and refresh this page, and I'm going to use the password that we have created, and you can see that all the models here are registered. So you can see this was a very effortless thing that we have completed here, because we don't have to invent the world just to register our modules. So if we were to go to others, then we can see that we have the option to add here. So let's say that we have gym shaped coding as an other, and I'm going to save that, and you can see that I can perform the same thing for books here. You can basically go ahead and add a book. That is a very easy option, and I really like the admin generator option here, because it really saves time to write code that is going to be similar for each model that you are going to create in your Django applications. Alright, so the next option that I want to cover here will be clean PYC. Now, as it sounds, it is just going to be responsible to clean the Pycache files that you have in your project directory. Now, if you don't know what Pycache files are, basically those are files that are generated once the Python interpreter compiles your code. And the reason that it exists, because at first when Python interpreter compiles your code, it is compiled into bytecode. So these are basically bytecode compiled versions of your program's files. And generally, we never want to maintain those in our projects, so Django Extensions gives us the option to delete those. Now, to show you how it will work, then let me show you the Pycache files that we have now in our Django project. So if we were to go to our main application, you can see that we have some of those here, and we also have some of those in this base app. So let's see how this is going to work. So it is going to be something like python manage.py clean pyc like the following. And now let's check if all those files are deleted. So let's go inside the folder here. So you can see that we don't have any Pycache files now. And you can also check that from here. So this is a nice option that you can also automate using this python manage.py clean pyc command. Alright, so one of the coolest options that you have in Django Extensions is the option to create your own commands. Now, this is actually something that exists already in Django, but Django Extensions library just abstracts it very well, and it is just going to be very easy to create our own commands. So what that means, it means that we can just go ahead and use something like python manage.py my command, and we can pass, for example, our own arguments, and then we can decide what are the list of actions that we want to take once we execute such a command. So this could be something like, I don't know, whatever you want, create books or edit users, something like that, that will really help you to have your own actions when you manage your project. So let's go ahead and see how this is going to work. So at first, we're gonna need to go ahead and say something like the following. So it will be python manage.py create command, and then this create command expects from us to specify the application name that this command is going to be belong to. So it is going to be main, because this is the application name. So it will be main, like I said, and then once I will execute that, then this command will be responsible to generate a list of Python files that will help us to basically declare there what will be the actions once we will execute our own command. So let's go ahead and see what is changed in our PyCharm now. So I'm going to open that, and you can see that inside our main directory here, we have a new directory that is called management. So if we were to open that, you can see that we also have one more package here that is called commands. Now, those are just Python packages, so we could also call them directories or Python packages, doesn't really matter. So if we were to open this simple.py file that is already generated for us, then you can see that this here is now responsible to have our own command that is named sample. So this is a nice template that we can work with to customize our own commands now. So in order to simulate to that, then if we were to now go back to our terminal and say something like python manage.py -- help here, then you can see that under this main application we have a new command option that is named sample. So this is unlike the left option that we have left from the beginning of this tutorial. You can see that we don't really see that, because we created a new command now. So now let's understand the structure of the class that has been auto-generated for us. So I'm going to go and open PyCharm again, and you can see that we have a class that is inheriting from this base command. So you can see that here, this will be the help that you can display to your own commands. So let's say that I'm just going to write a basic command that will be responsible to display a number that I will pass in as an argument. So it will be something like the following. So our help here will be display some number you'd like to display. All right. And then you can see that we have also one more function here that is intentionally named add arguments, and you can see that it receives here one more additional argument that is called sample. Now we can change this to something like my num, because this will be the argument that we look to pass in order to print that. And under this handle function here is the exact location we will specify what will be the actions that we want to run. So in order to simplify things for now, we will just say print, and then we will print the passed in argument here. So let's print something like the following. So I'm going to zoom in a bit, and I'm going to say the number was, and I'm going to open curly brackets because this is a formatted string, and I want to refer to the value that was passed in here. So it will be options, because you can see that we receive a key-worded argument here, and I will just say options dot get, and the argument inside this get here needs to be matched to the argument that you pass here. So I'm going to grab this my num and type it here. And sorry, I just realized that I mismatched it, so let me just correct this up in here and continue from here. Okay, so now if we were to say something like python manage.py sample, and then pass in here some random argument like 1, then you can see how this is being visualized here. So now we can understand that the command name is actually coming from the name of our Python file. So say that we want to change the command name to generate number or output number, something like that, then we're gonna need to change our Python file name. So if we were to refactor and rename and change this to something like example underscore number, I don't know, something like the following, and as I said, you can change it to whatever you want, then this will be responsible to change the command name. So now this command won't work. So we're gonna need to change this to something like python manage.py example underscore number, and then pass in our argument, and you can see that now it works. Now you can also see that this has been visualized as a list in here. So this is actually something that will be easy to fix, because if we were to delete this n args equals to plus here, then this will be basically responsible to not store it as a list, because we could also have the option to pass in multiple arguments thanks to this additional line in here. So if we were to say python manage.py example number 1, 2, or 3, then you can see how it is being shown in here. Now one more problem that we have, it is being appeared as a string. So if we want to fix that, we can easily pass in here something like type equals to int, like the following, and then if we were to rerun that, then you can see that the results are now a lot better. Now if we want to receive one argument only intentionally, then we're gonna need to delete this one, and now if we were to pass in here multiple arguments, we're gonna receive some errors because we did not use this command properly. Now I'm going to clean the screen, and I'm going to say something like python manage.py example number 1. And you can see that now it shows us the number was 1, because this is a single argument option here that we have created. So as you can understand, you have a lot of options that you can use thanks to this create command extension, which is very, very useful if you look to automate day-to-day tasks when you develop a Django application. Alright, so the next option that I want to talk about will be export emails. Now, say that you have hundreds of users and you just want to export their emails for some reason, maybe to send an automatic email to everybody to notify your users. So you need to have a list of all the emails of your users in this application. So Django Extensions comes with an option that is called export emails, and that will be as easy as saying something like the following. So we can say python manage.py export emails like the following. Now, since we only have one user currently, then you can see that we only receive one option here. Now, you can see that this is actually displayed in a way that will be easier for us just to basically copy the output and paste this in to the destination that we look to send this email. Because if you know, when you send an email from Gmail or Outlook or any email platform, then usually you're gonna need to specify the emails with semicolon separated like that. So that is a wonderful option by Django Extensions because you can easily use python.manage.py, export emails, and then just go ahead and paste the output to your email. So it is a wonderful option here that is very useful if you look to automate sending email to your users. Alright, so the next option will be generate password that I want to talk about. Now, this is just as it sounds, but it receives one more cool argument that I also like. So it will be python manage.py generate password like that. And then if we were to execute it as it is, then you can see that it generates us a password with 10 characters. But we can actually decide that by only passing in dash length and then set the length of the password. So if we were to use 20, then you can see that we have a password with 20 characters. So that is useful if you want to generate some random passwords to your users, and I just find it useful when I want to test my application with creating some users. Now, pretty much a similar command is also applied for your secret keys. Now, say that you want to generate a secret key to add in your settings in your Django applications, so you don't really need to go to the web and search how to have a secret key. You can easily use python manage.py generate secret key like the following, and you can see that a secret key has been generated. So I can automatically grab that and go to my settings here and paste this in right there if I want to change my secret for whatever reason, or I lost my secret, or I want to use a different secret for my production environment. So this is one more useful command that I also use by myself when I want to generate secret keys when I deploy Django applications to production. So you can really see that we have a lot of options here in these Django extensions that are very useful in the middle of Django application development. You can see that we have more stuff like reset DB if we want to reset our database for whatever reason, if we want to start things from scratch. We also have things like list model info, which is responsible to display your models and its fields and more stuff. Very nice in the console here. You can list the signals that you have. You can print your settings in a nice way if you want to quickly verify something in your settings that is correct. And you have also the option to execute scripts, so it is going to be pretty similar to create command, but create command is way simple than run script, but this is also an option. I will add documentations to those options in here so you can follow along and basically play around with the different options that this Django Extensions library comes up with. Alright, so that will be it for this video. Let me know what is the extension that you are going to use in the comment section, and as well as what are the other topics that you want to see tutorials on my channel and specifically on this Django for Everyone series. So if you enjoyed in this video, please consider hitting the like button and as well as subscribing to my channel so you will never miss any Django for Everyone video. See you next time.